Well, it's not too often that I get excited about politics, but it just so happened that I was right looking directly at the TV when that assassination attempt happened. Now I'm sucked in. So here I am. Back up on X. Please follow me on X. Links in the description, by the way. So she was appointed. This particular director of the Secret Service, Kim Cheadle, is a good friend of Jill Biden. Oh boy, I wonder how she got where she is.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts. And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Lied! Yes. Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question.
Service issue and to reach out to the Secret Service. But I can tell you this, they have a lot of questions as to who exactly at the Trump campaign knew and when, because I have talked to a number of people who have been on the ground with the former president in recent days and weeks who had no idea. Now, one thing to remember is that Donald Trump is a very tight-knit security team. He has been with the same detail for years. He is very close to them. They have a lot of respect for him, and he has a lot of respect for them.
Border Patrol endorsed my position. In addition to that, we found ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was taking separate. We significantly increased the number of asylum officers. By the way, the Border Patrol endorsed my position.
Hold on, here we go. Thomas Crooks was shot dead 26 seconds after he let off his first shot on Double Trump at his rally. The details, which were made during a briefing with the FBI, says snipers first spotted Crooks on the roof at 5:52 p.m., 20 minutes before the first shot, 11 seconds after the first shot, which happened at 6:12 p.m. Snipers located Crooks. 15 seconds later, Crooks was shot dead, according to ABC News. The timeline: 5:10 p.m. Crooks first identified as a person of interest. 5:30 p.m. Crooks spotted with a rangefinder at the magnetometers. 5:52 p.m. Crooks spotted on the roof by USSS. 6:02 p.m. Trump takes the stage. 6:12 p.m. Crooks fires his first shot. Crooks is killed 26 seconds later. Bottom graphic is from Fern on YouTube. You can see the updated where the snipers were. And of course, Joe Biden being a super spreader at dinner at a Mexican restaurant just before he called off his speech that night, last night. You're not looking all that sick there, Joe. Well, aside from 1 foot in the grave. Heaven's sakes. Talk about getting old fast.
hate Trump? And I was like, no, he's great. I mean, like, he's a great president. And he's, he called me stupid, or insinuated that. He's like, well, that's kind of stupid. If he was a know-it-all. So, like, once again, if he was passionate about something, he would just talk, and acted like he knew everything, especially politics related. And he would say it in a tone that was like, I'm better than you, in a type of way. And, meanwhile, it's like, dude, we're in the same classes. You know what I mean? We're talking about the same stuff here, and whenever it comes to politics, I mean, at the end of the day, I can agree, you can disagree, I can disagree, we're not even nothing about it. Like, at that point, it doesn't matter. At that point, it's, we're just starting to figure out who we like and all, but, yeah, he was real smug and arrogant whenever he was talking, and whether that was his way to try to make friends or be funny, I don't know, but it got under my skin a lot. So, his friend group, they were known for being, like I said, like, just out there, a little bit more recluse. Some of them didn't even show up to school. Some of them went homeschool. Some of them, I think one of them went to, like, a private school. They were definitely the type, and they
Look,
did
there's a kitty
make
in the window.
threats to shoot up our school. And that year, I believe it was our freshman year, because I had left our freshman year. Before I had left, everyone going through Snapchat, everybody's texting, everybody, saying this, that, and the third. Everybody was saying it was Thomas who made a threat, and it was that friend group. Everyone was mainly blaming the friend group, but a name that kept coming up was Thomas. And he never did anything, He left school for a couple of days. It wasn't anything like a suspension or anything. It was just a couple of days, He was not severely bullied. Almost nobody knew him. So, for somebody who got severely bullied, I'm not going to name names, but students that were severely bullied, and I remember their names, he's not one of them. The signs were there, and somebody definitely had to go down. Somebody, whether he was talking to somebody, or somebody either just didn't realize and just overlooked it, somebody should have known, because he was not a loner. And both of his parents being counselors, how do you not see that warning sign or something? Anybody who knew him should have seen something, should have known something was up. And I know it's kind of...
Well, this is completely different than what that first kid was saying about him, that he's a complete loner, nobody knows about him, he's severely bullied. You know how kids are nowadays. Remember how I told everybody that was probably a coach statement? Absolutely it was. Somebody told that idiot to say that. Thank God that this individual said something. Former Thomas Crooks classmate says Crooks was a known Trump hater and was a know-it-all. The FBI still doesn't know what Crooks' motive could have been. Hispanic classmate Vincent Teormina recalled a political disagreement he had with Crooks after he told them that he was a Trump supporter. He did not like any politician. I brought up the fact that I'm Hispanic and for Trump. He said, well, you're Hispanic, so shouldn't you hate Trump? He insinuated that I was stupid. So here's a question I have to you. If these are indeed legit, this is a picture, and mainstream media isn't talking about this. Take a look at the screen in regards to who this Thomas Crooks is. This is a picture of Thomas Crooks. I'm getting sent this in the background. Let's have a quick look. Hold on. Let me get back to X. Now, I don't know where this John Cullen is getting his ballistic analysis. Evidence of a second shooter. First shot hits two bystanders and the railing. Where's Donald Trump standing? Why is the first shot so far off then? If this is the first shot, why is it so far off the mark? Was it a mass? I don't know. I don't know about this. Oh, now I'm understanding. The very first shot was targeting the counter snipers on the roof. They couldn't see Crooks. He was behind a tree from their vantage point. Someone else shot at the counter snipers. The shot missed the snipers, but hit the 2 bystanders minimum. All right, so this John Cullen has a point. But there's some uncertainty over the first shot and where it hit. You can see where that hit. But he is of the thinking that there's 2 points.
Look what happened. Take a look what happened. If you want to really see something that's said, take a look what happened.
What you know about rolling down the deep.
Oh, are you ready for this? They zoomed in on the top of this water tower. Now, it's not crystal clear, but on the right, on the very top of this water tower, the standpipe, there's probably a little communication set up there. And there's a black blob, like a form of a person that seems to be moving. It's very difficult to tell when you don't have a telescopic lens and there's hot and cold currents in the air waving and making things look like they're moving when they're not. However, take a look at this.
You want to hold that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened. That chart.
Interesting perspective. Don't know. You know, the more and more I think about it, it's so bizarre on how that angle of the shot came in and how Donald had those 2 marks across his face. Did the marks across his face happen after the ear or before the ear? Which way did that bullet come from? Behind to blow the ear or in front to take the ear? They're talking about this individual up on the water tower. The real shooter of former President Trump has been located at the crime scene. Exclusive. Look on the very top of the water tower. Someone is there, and then they are killed and gone. That's who shot Trump in the ear. What? All right, man, you got a point there. There's something there. What it is, I can't say. That's interesting. Excuse me, I'm not completely sold about this water tower. Who said lawn bowling is boring? Check this shot out. This is how you know it's rigged. Threading the needle, boys. Oh, it just keeps getting worse. Listen to this, the latest. Dan Bogniano says that there's a text record that the threat was recognized 1 hour before Trump got on stage, but there was a failure to get the information to the Secret Service. Bogniano also confirmed that there was no drone surveillance that day. Isn't that bizarre? No drone surveillance that day? Here's where it gets interesting. Local law enforcement is disputing the Secret Service's claim and says they did tell them about the threat, but the Secret Service didn't do anything about it. There's an actual text record that this threat may have been recognized at about 5:01 p.m., an hour before Donald Trump got on stage. There are some people telling me that there was a failure in the beginning to properly get information out. The locals and some Butler County officials are disputing that, saying, hey, we told the Secret Service about the threat and they didn't do anything. Yeah, and here's another person up there on X that agrees with what I was presenting earlier in regards to, the media's really done this to Donald Trump. Raised, in the last 5-6 years, even more, vilified him to the point that it undermines their own political system, making Trump out to look like some sort of fascist to get people angry against him because it might favor you at the vote or at the voting booth in the future. It's disturbing. Der Spiegel, the Washington Post, New York Times Magazine, the New Yorker, the Economist, Daily News, Dr. Evil. These are pretty good, but now the more and more that you look at this, the more it looks like they did let this happen. And that's kind of what people have been saying the entire time. Here's a great shot of it right here. It's pulling across X. Video shows a dark figure on top of the Butler water tower, which many say was the second shooter.
That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened. That chart's a couple of months old. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
It's not clear enough, man. Man, that's not clear enough. It's playing with my mind. Oh, this just in. Joy Reid is on a tear about Trump. Check it out. Friends, before we go on this Joy Reid rant, I just mailed out one of my packages filled with my anti-inflammatory lemongrass scented, world famous pain relieving moisturizing balm, as well as my hash cookies. My can of cookies. Chocolate chip cookies. Only the best ingredients. I actually put real vanilla extract in that. Before we get into Joy Reid, if you're interested in ordering for you or somebody that you know that could benefit from these bombs, please get me up at stepbystepexploringvideos@gmail.com. Now, let's get on with this Joy Reid rant. Of course, all of these crazy, leftists, we'll call them, in the U.S. are just, one, turning on Biden, undermining all of this that's happened to Trump. They can't handle it. Now watch. Because of not just the person, but all of the things that they have themselves said in the past 8 years, he's coming back, and it's slapping him in the face all at one time, and for the foreseeable future. Now let's get ahead. Let's have a look.
Biden has COVID. He's contracted COVID. Within 20 minutes of getting that information, we had very specific, detailed information about his health status. You know, the fact that he was breathing normally, the fact that he was being given Paxlovid, which is the drug that you can get to try to arrest the symptoms of COVID. We knew a lot about his condition. I mean, he's the president of the United States, right? So he works for the American people. So one would think that that's something that we're allowed to know, that we're supposed to.
Does he really, though? Does he really?
To know, but the transparency on that information it was quick, and we got lots of detailed information about it. I was even able to confirm, from a White House official, that President Biden had actually masked up. He then took off his mask to just walk onto Air Force One, and then was masked up on Air Force One so that he wouldn't risk, spreading COVID to his Secret Service agents and staff, etc. So, there were a lot of details that we were able to get both on the record and on background from White House officials. But when it comes to what happened,
honey, why would he all of a sudden take off his mask and then put another mask back on when he's in the inside? Why are you white knighting for him? What's up with this?
On Saturday with former President Donald Trump, this assassination attempt, we know almost nothing about his medical condition. We've gotten almost no information. Ronnie Jackson, who was the White House physician during the Obama administration, which really frightens me when I now think about it, knowing who he is and his kind of personality, and then who was held over and was the White House physician in the Trump administration, and now is apparently Donald Trump's doctor now, even though, or at least maybe acts somehow as his doctor, even though he is also a member of Congress. He is a Texas congressman now. He parlayed his fame/infamy on being the White House doctor into a job in Congress. But Trump kind of treats him like he's his doctor, even though one time he called him Ronnie Johnson instead of Ronnie Jackson because, his brain don't work good during one of his speeches. But be that as it may, he claims that he dressed the wound to Trump's ear, I guess it was left ear, whichever ear, on the flight to Milwaukee, that he dressed the wound, and that he's actually seen what's under that big bandage that Trump is wearing on his ear. Okay, well, how come no one else has any information about this wound? We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing. Why? Why don't we know that much? We know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally.
Well, what did you think it was? A salt gun? What was it? One of those air guns, maybe? We don't even know exactly what he was firing. Come on.
We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him. We don't know why, for 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation, even though they, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters or not? Nobody knew that there could have been 5 shooters for all they knew. Yet they allowed him to stand up.
Yeah, they allowed him to stand up as opposed to teleporting? Would you want him to teleport into the old Escalades, the Suburbans? Don't think so. You got to get back up on your feet in your shoes, walk out of there with the human shield. It's only a problem when everybody's at their post and all of a sudden they've got to create that human shield around the president there, ma'am. She's really nasty, looking angry at this. That's funny stuff. Part of me just thinks that she's trolling,
Up in the middle of that, crisis and pose for a photo. And fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo. And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. And according to journalists...
What do you mean they let him? He insisted. Who's in control of who? It's not like they let him do anything. They're there to protect him, not to restrict all of his rights. Like, what is up with this?
It's like Carol Leonnig, the brilliant journalist who's an expert on the Secret Service.
She's trying to spin it so hard. She's spinning in one spot.
It is unusual.
That's what it is.
We're getting more details about the sort of hot mess that was going on in terms of civilians, like people who were actually at the rally, noticing the gunman get on the roof and trying to point that out to officers. We're finding out that there was another totally separate threat to Donald Trump's life from Iran.
So what you didn't know about that?
So you'd think they'd be on high alert. We still are not. It's not clear why the Secret Service allowed this, rooftop that was in, 140 yards from the stage where Donald Trump was going to be speaking was unmanned, and why this person was able to even get on that roof. There's so much we don't know, you guys. We knew so much more when...
What is all this about being allowed? That you just did. It's not about you have got to get go ahead to do anything in this country. You've got free will. He used his free will and walked around. We already know what failed. His security detail.
Squeaky from
DEI.
Attacked Gerald Ford. We knew so much more very quickly about Ronald Reagan's attacker in 1981. We knew so much more when Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated in 1968 or in 1972 when George Wallace was shot. Like, the information, even in those eras when you've got less information because you didn't have this information superhighway, the internet, etc., we still knew more. We know.
Man, oh man, oh man. Well, speak for yourself about knowing things. This is getting a triggered conspiracy filled rant about how Donald Trump was able to pose for a photo after getting shot in the face. Imagine being mad at that Trump put his fist in the air after being shot. That's what she's really upset about, for sure. I don't know about this second shooter on the water tower theory. Not at all. I'm not sold on it, friends. Let me know in the comments section below what you think. Remember, follow me on Twitter. It's in the description of this video. This isn't doing them any justice. This is breaking. I'm talking within minutes here, friends. Local law enforcement says Secret Service is throwing them under the bus. Claims the Secret Service visited the rally location 1 month before and told them exactly what to do. A source who spoke with the Daily Mail was furious over claims that they were responsible for the area outside the perimeter. The Secret Service came out here more than a month ahead of time and met with the local agencies, an officer said. They tell us exactly what to do, exactly what they want, and exactly how they want it. It's all on them. They're absolutely passing the buck. Odd. Love you, Trump. Yeah. Oh, it's the detail. No matter which way that you spin it, from Donald Trump's perspective, his particular enemies are going to be embedded well within the security details and the security services. You don't ever quite know who is against you and who isn't when you're in that position, right? But think about all of the time that the Democrats, who you can't trust at this point in time, have had over the past 4 years to taint that security detail, not on purpose necessarily, but you can see right in front of your eyes where the breakdown occurs.